Hey everybody, welcome. It's Saturday morning, Multifamily Unplugged, and I am joined today by Chris Prefontaine. I am excited about today's episode. Chris, tell our listeners a couple things that they're going to hear on the inside today.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing they're going to hear and they all want to know these days is this a good time to get in the market? And I'm going to tell you, first of all, yes, we could stop it there, but yes, do it via creative real estate so you can weather every single storm. And I'll tell you, speaking of storm, it is the perfect storm right now because you've got forbearance agreements coming due. You've got interest rates on the rise. You've got market changes inevitable. And there's one way to just crush it and thrive in that. And that's definitely creative real estate. And then whether I'm not so naive to think I'm the only one, right? There's millions of people out there. Find someone that's done what you want to do, not someone new. Find someone like Mike and I that's been around for a long time, latch on to them and don't look back.
Absolutely. And you're going to have to listen in to get the rest of today. See you inside. Glad that you're here today. Boy, I'll tell you what, we're going to be live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube this morning, and there is going to be a lot to talk about. I have a great guest this morning that I am super excited about having on. I am joined by Chris Prefontaine. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. And good to, unbeknownst to both of us, reconnect.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, and I like the way you say that, Chris. Chris and I, over the last month or so, 6 weeks, have put this together that we were going to get together and do this episode. And every time his name came up, I said, boy, I know him from somewhere, and I just couldn't place it. Finally, Chris and I get on this morning, and I say, how do we know each other? And sure enough, we have a history. We ran in very small circles together. Our paths have crossed in the past. In the old real estate training days with Mike Ferry and Tom Ferry and Tim Wood. And if anybody remembers those names, boy, we've been around for a while, huh, Chris?
Well, we're dating ourselves, but that was between like 93 and 2000s when we were around each other.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Let's not get carried away with the age thing right now. So. Hey, so here's one thing I always love to ask my guests when I start these podcasts is, Chris, in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Geez, I've been asked. I'll say driven.
Driven. Interesting. So what makes you driven? Where do you think you got that from?
Probably two different things, meaning where I get it from, I don't know. My dad's an entrepreneur, right? He's 82. He just sold 4 years ago. He sold his second or third, I think it's his third business. So he's done building, but yeah, so that I've always been around entrepreneurship, I guess. I'm just type A personality, but what keeps it or makes it, as you said in the second piece of that question, I would say always my why. I mean, I hope that's what drives people, right?
Interesting. So what's your why?
Well, at this age, I'm 56, as I told you earlier. My why is it's not about the money, but it's to earn enough income, create enough wealth to do the things money can't buy. And for my wife and I, it's creating family experiences, being around the grandkids. We have two. We're in a family company. This company that I built is with family. So that's all about the experiences. You can't buy that. You can't replace it. They don't come back. It's just where we are right now in our headspace.
Boy, that's really, it's interesting. I don't know that anybody's really ever explained that piece. It's about the experiences, right? And I can really relate to that even for myself. I remember years ago reading Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. And, and he talked in there, and this is, I think, one of the things that intrigued me about real estate way back then was that he talked about the art of the deal and negotiating and putting the deal in the structure. And that's part of that experience thing, what do you learn and how do you experience it?
Yeah, it's funny. Someone just asked me, I think it was a different show, what I read first. They asked me to go backwards in my real estate. And I remember being in my first apartment. We got married in 86, gosh. And his book, I think, came out right around then, because I literally remember reading it and this isn't, you and I both know it's not political. It was in the 80s. Who knew what was going to happen? I just loved the book and it got me jazzed. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of cool though. Hey, so listen, let's fill some gaps in. Talk about your background. How'd you get started? I got a ton of questions, but let's fill the listeners in a little bit about who you are, where you're at, what you do.
Yeah. So you and I have been at this 30 years. I'm like 30 years in like 6 months. So I won't give all that, but I'll give very, very high level and you can pick back whatever you want.
Okay.
I started in like 91. That led me to build homes and then to brokerage and then to meeting you indirectly through Mike Ferry. And then in 2000, I sold my company, a Coldwell Banker. I was working with clients throughout US and Canada, coaching them at that time. They were realtors then, not investors necessarily. That led to the crash though, Mike. And in the crash, as I eloquently talk about in my book, the debacle, I got crushed. So financially, I almost didn't go back into real estate. It took me literally 4 years, February of 08. I remember like it was, yesterday, all the way to February of 12 to say, all right, I got to get on my own way. I got to get back. I got to get my feet again. I got to get my confidence back and get back in. But I defined sort of the rules or the protocol that I would operate in. And that was because of what I went through. Do not sign personally on bank debt. Do not use your own cash. Do not borrow cash. And do everything on terms. So to this day, we control close to 100 million now in real estate with our students and ourselves. And we are not on one loan. We do not put up money with very few exceptions. And we buy like that personally and with our students.
Wow.
So I fast forwarded right to today for you. That was a lot in a couple of seconds. Good question.
All creative financing, all owner financing type deals, master leases, subject twos, all that.
You just hit it. Those three. You nailed it. Yep. That's how we buy. We do not buy out. Otherwise, I'm standing in my building today, Mike, that in November of 18, I think it was November or December, I bought. It's free and clear. It was. And I bought it owner financing. And I say that because in the owner financing niche, there's a lot of niches, sub niches. We deal with free and clear owners who are open to getting their price as long as we get our term and we pay monthly principal. It's a major recession resistant play, especially in the uncertainty of the market.
Wow. You are speaking my language, brother.
Good. We got to connect more.
Yeah. What's really cool. So here's an interesting story. So bought an apartment complex in Tampa. Right next door, there's a couple of other buildings, houses that we said, oh, we'd like to buy those because we could make it part of this and make this deal a little bit bigger. And so I'm on the phone. So one of them comes up for sale. And of course, there's one in the middle and this is the one on the end, right? Which is just a whole other nightmare. But I'm on the phone with the realtor and I'm talking to her about, hey, well, let's go ask the owner if the owner is willing to do any creative financing. And she goes, what do you mean? So, what's interesting to me is people don't know. And they don't get it, right? Because there's so much we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And so how easy or hard is it for you with these sellers to take them down that road of education and execute then?
Yeah. And first, you said something interesting and then I'll talk about the sellers because everybody says, well, how do you convince them? You don't. And I'll tell you that in a second. But first of all, when I was in my real today, say in the 90s, when we talked about that, I didn't know how to do this. It's existed since, as far as I can see, the 1600s. It was written up in the Vanderbilt book in the 1600s in New York City. They did master leases, they did it.
Yeah.
So it's not new. But why didn't I know about it for 18 years as a licensed agent? I don't know. I just know I left a lot of money on the table. And I left a lot of what we call paydays on the table. We can talk about it later, but we trademark 3 paydays. Like we don't get paid once in a deal and have to do it again. We get paid 3 times. And as far as the seller question, it's not about trying to convince them. It's not about selling them. It is, I won't say it's easy. That's crazy, but it's simple. And the reason I'm saying that is if you're solving their goal, in this case of the building owner free and clear here that I bought, or you're solving a real estate problem in the case of these forbearance loans coming due and people coming to us going, I can't do this anymore. Like, could you just take my house and catch up my arrears? So we have both ends of the spectrum. If you can solve that, there's no more conversation. It's just a matter of how you structure it. So if you go at this with, I'm looking to help people, I'm just looking to help people, you'll be fine. If you go into it with trying to sell how you buy and all that and give a seminar, it's going to be a painful experience. So it's not difficult. You just got to fish in the right ponds. I will tell you that this building's on a main drag here. They call it $1 Million Alley. There's a lot of BJ's and big stores and all that. Why didn't anyone else come and approach this owner? It took me 10 minutes in his office with him, 10 minutes, Mike. And then he sent it to the attorney and said, close it for an owner financing deal. Can you imagine the underwriting with a commercial deal like that? It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, right.
So
what's the right pond?
What's the right time?
Pond. You said you got to fish
pond.
in the
Sorry.
right pond. So what's the right pond?
Yep. Okay. So for us, it's expired listings and FSBOs like you and I know all too well. It's also for rent by owners. And then if you want to niche it down, we love the free and clear. A third of the properties in the United States, some areas higher, are debt free. They're free and clear. That's not a bad place to hang out because a lot of them are not on the market. And this market changed. Some of them want to cash out. And I didn't mind giving this guy his price for going on 4 years ago. If I would get my term, I get 20-year terms on it. I don't care what the market does. I'm fine. I get 20 years.
Yeah. Hey, isn't it interesting? You just said expireds and FSBOs, and that's what you and I, we grew up on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike Ferry, that's all Mike Ferry taught was
Yep.
go prospect. And if you were a person, you were an agent that followed Mike Ferry's training and didn't do that, you really didn't do well, right?
No.
You might have
right.
gone there for entertainment, but
Yeah.
if you did what he said.
Yeah.
You were successful.
Yeah. And what I love, gosh, I did it back then when in the realtor hat, it's fine. We did 100 homes a year. I'm not like regretting that. But the difference now is when I call as an investor, the first question I get is, are you a realtor? I said, no, I want to buy your house. Oh, okay. You can feel the guard come down. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And yet we do train realtors to do the same. So it's okay. But it's cool to go in and say, no, I want to buy your house. It's a different conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And it's the same thing we used to say to for sale by owners, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, interesting. But hey, the other thing, I just want to circle back on this because you said this at the beginning, and I just wanted to. You said you grew up in a family. You were, your dad was an entrepreneur, had 3 companies. What space was he in? Was he in the real estate business, or what did your dad do?
No, it's actually an appropriate question because it was not real estate. He built his first business he built and sold was a welding supply and industrial gas business. Nothing to do with real estate. So where's the tie? Here's the tie. He built, I was young. So this would have been 70s. He was building his first building. So let's just say I was 10 years old. He brought me there and said, I'm building this. And I remember driving on the dirt and he said, I'm going to build it. I'm going to lease it back to my company. And at that age, I didn't get that. Like, what do you mean? It's you're both. I didn't get the tax structures and all that, but now I get it. And so he went on to build every one of his buildings that he ever built. He built it new and he released it back to the company. And so when he retired, he had all this property. It was pretty much free and clear. So I was around that. And then he would hang out with people and find land and engineer it and flip it. So I was just around it and center of influence. I guess I would summarize that by saying, I don't care if it's family or not, who we hang out with really, really, really matters. Like it's going to affect where you go. So consciously choose that.
So yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, I think it's so clear to me today that if you walk into a room and you're the smartest guy in the room, you probably are in the wrong room and you probably should go somewhere else. And how do you determine that in your life, for yourself?
I'm always, I just check my pulse, meaning, and this is a good question. I never pre-thought this, but my knee-jerk answer is I check my pulse with, am I excited? Am I feeling like they're drawing my energy constantly? I'm in the coaching business. So does that happen in my community? Sure. That's what I'm there for. But if I go outside of that for a mastermind or a partner, and I'll talk about a particular partner in a minute, do I feel like I'm filling my cup up for a change? That's a big difference because you can just get drained.
Yeah.
And so am I being challenged? Are they saying things that I go, what the heck was that? I want that. Some people don't. I want that. So we took on an equity partner in our company. I'll give you a quick example. He built one of the largest fitness brands in the world, Snap Fitness. And he's one of our partners now. So conversations with him, I just can't wait to have because they're totally different and outside the box. And he just opens the brain every single time. And then he ends it with, just give me a call anytime. That's different. You hang around with that. And then you get introduced through different people. And guess how I met him, Mike, by the way? I just met him on a podcast. That's it. And now he's a partner.
He was on yours.
He was on my podcast, referred by someone else. If I always trace who met who and how far, like you and I met. It's funny. So I was introduced to him by Rock Thomas, and he was introduced to us through someone else. And it's really cool how that happens. I follow the energy.
Listen, some of the best people I've met in the last 2 years, Chris, have been because of my podcast.
Couldn't agree more. It's amazing, the relationships.
Yeah. And like you and I reconnecting now.
Yeah.
I think this will go further, right?
Yeah. I never would know. I've run into a few of the clan, but not everybody.
Yep. And so I actually have a referral for you that
Sweet.
I met a guy that, now that you bring the Snap Fitness guy up, because one of the other things that I'm trying to do is just talk to real estate people a little bit more about being an entrepreneur, because because it's not just about the real estate or the product, but it's, you know,
Nope.
and you said a couple of things, right? So you said leave every conversation saying, you know, call me anytime. But I think you start the conversation by saying, hey, how do I add value? What can I
Yeah.
do for you? I think
Yeah.
those two questions are great bookmarks, right? On
I
those
love it.
conversations. But like you're talking about the Snap Fitness guy, I met a guy, his name's Neil Twa. Neil is an Amazon business builder, a decade history of building Amazon stores. But here's what he does that's different is he teaches you how to fish. He doesn't fish for you.
Mm.
Most of these store guys teach you, you know, set it up and they run it for you.
Yeah.
But he teaches you how to do it, which is different. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great connection for you. But
I
we
love it. I
can talk
appreciate
about
that.
later. Yeah. But you know, so talk about your coaching business. Tell people what that looks like, how that all works.
Let me piece it together with something you just said, which is a huge point. And then it goes to this question without you knowing what I was going to say. Because you said it's about building a business. I wish it was as easy as, hey, just go through our course. We call it our QLS course, Quantum Leap System. Just go through the course and go do deals and build a business. Okay, it'll be great. It'll be peachy. Here's the challenge to what you said. We teach the same course, yet some people come out of the gate and they take 32 days to do a deal and others 365. Why is that? It's because of what you said. It's not about doing the deal. So we have what we call the genius model. It's 3 pillars. It's the skill set. Yeah, you need that. That's the number one. You got to get that. But it's the systems and then the mindset piece too. Because life happens. You go to the seminars. You and I went to plenty. And then you go out and you do a deal in the real world. And you go, whoa, they didn't tell me that. So we are very blunt and clear and to the point with our students. We expose the good, the bad, the ugly. If you go on YouTube, you'll see 150 deals whiteboarded, and then on all the fluff deals. They're all the deals. And so we give it to them. We give it everything. So that's the back end of the answer. The short end is we tend to have the philosophy, Mike, that we're bridging the gap. You've been around long enough like me to know too many people take a course or go to a seminar, and then the gap is they never get to the first freaking deal. Like they just don't do a deal. It's crazy to me. So we call it bridging the gap, and we are in the trenches doing students with the deals. And so as such, we revenue share with them. We have a stake in it, and we are doing these all over the country. So the first step is they go through the foundational course. Great. Everybody does that. Some choose to go do deals on their own. Great. I think they leave money on the table because there's a lot of nuances, right, in these deals. Others choose to join our coaching program and be in the trenches with us. I'm still coaching the higher level myself. So we do deals with them in the trenches. It's amazing. And they can, again, then go to YouTube. It's free. And go check out the deals.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So a couple things here you said. I just want to circle back. You said Quantum Leap program. Do you remember Craig Proctor?
Yeah, absolutely.
All his stuff was, remember that years ago?
Yeah. Now you say that, my son went to his stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So, you know, probably another guy you and I both know is Brian Moses.
Yeah. I remember that name.
Yep. How about
There's not
that?
too many we both didn't cross.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty funny. But hey, so you were talking about bridging the gap. And what I equate that to is the execution. You know, we can give people all the education in the world, all the coaching in the world.
Right.
But I love what you're doing as far as helping them execute by, you know, taking them that extra step further. The people that decide to go do something else on their own, do they come back to you at all and raise their hand?
Yes, I have. Okay. So interesting. I have a woman that actually in my property business found me, did a terms deal with us as a seller, then did a terms deal with us as a buyer, then took our QLS course, and then became part-time in one of our programs, and now is out doing deals. But she did it mostly just through the QLS program. She took a little foray into what we call a group coaching thing, and then said, I got it. I don't want to split money with you. I'm gone. And I had her on my show. She's amazing. I love stories like that. I just kid her every time she comes to an event, and I do it publicly, of course. But I say, Denise, every time you do a deal, I can tell you in all 3 paydays where you left money on the table. I know, Chris, I know. So she's happy, but she's leaving money on the table.
Yeah. God. And, you know, I think we do that by, you know, that's how we learn sometimes.
No question. I get it. I've been there. I was there after the crash, right? You got to learn.
So can you do these types of deals, Chris, that you teach in every product class?
Meaning different types of real estate? Sure. Yeah. This is a big question we get. I teach single family, Mike, just for like, okay, from stage, so to speak, from the, from broad view, we teach single family. However, I just shared with you, this building was bought on terms. We recently did a 4-unit and a 6-unit free and clear. One was in my IRA, one was regular in, one of our companies, but you're talking, they're all, let me give you metrics. You'll love this. All the free and clear properties we do, if you concentrate on these few metrics, there's 6-figure deals every time with the 3 paydays. One is it's got to be like 200 grand and higher. 2 is you got to structure at least a 48-month deal. 3 is you got to structure principal payments of at least 9.25 and up, anything 9.25 and up. You do those 3 things, you have a 6-figure deal every single time or higher on a free and clear deal. So do you need to do 10 of those or 50 of those a year? No, but those are cool when you find the free and clear that'll do terms. You can do this on any property class. As you know, you can do boats, plant, anything can be bought and sold on terms.
So how do you find the deals?
Yeah. So we have virtual assistants that will dial, and they'll dial in the train. Obviously, I've had one since 2012, one person. They'll dial the expired, the FSBO, the for rent by owner, who are very tired now because of COVID, the great class. And that's one way. They'll then deliver to us what I call a property information sheet. That means somebody raised their hand. It wasn't a slam dunk, but they raised their hand and they'll be okay with getting a call from, it's not me now, but it's our seller specialist. And then if we want to go beyond that, we do mail to 2 classes I like, and that is the out of state and free and clear. We don't, Mike, like a lot of wholesalers, spend tens of thousands of dollars per month. I'm not a big believer in that. Maybe they came from the Mike Ferry camp. Like, we just don't do heavy mailings. I believe in the phone. But we'll do spot mailings like that. I'm talking like 300 pieces, and we'll pluck a deal out of that because it's very niched.
Okay.
Those are the main ones.
So here's what's interesting. You said you train those VAs to prospect. Obviously, you believe in scripts and dialogues and making the calls. When they're making the calls, is that a predefined script already though? And here's what I mean, because you've talked a couple of times about properties that are free and clear. So are you researching that to only be calling properties that are free and clear, or is that something part of the questioning process that the VA's undermining?
It's the latter. It's part of the questioning. Unless there's a student, and we do it pointedly, that says, hey, out of this service that you provided us that gives us the expired, the FSBO, the for rent by owner, out of those, I'm just not getting enough leads in my area, and they want to get more leads for their team. Then maybe we're going to niche the list and call it specifically for free and clear. But usually it's just part of the process. The VA gives you the sheet. It says, yes, they're open to hearing more. And when it says mortgage amount, it says free and clear.
So you're a numbers guy. I mean, if we grew up in that era.
It's all metrics. Yeah.
Where you know the numbers, right?
Yeah, so you gotta.
Let's talk a little bit. I always tell people, hey, I made 20,000 dials to funnel out to sell 125 listings a year.
Yep.
So,
yep.
What are the numbers?
The numbers are simple. So those property information sheets I talked about, 17 of those come across my desk and I call them, I get an appointment. 17 of those property information sheets. 25 of them, I'll get a deal on the contract, and 40 of them I have a sold. A sold for us, I should define, is not a flip. A sold is I placed a tenant buyer who needs time to get qualified, whether they're self-employed and need seasoning, or they have credit that got beat up because of COVID or divorce or death. They need time. So they go through a rent-to-own program with a clear plan to get to the finish line and cash out. And that's what we call a sold. And I keep saying 3 paydays. We get paid when the deposit comes in. That's non-refundable. We get paid every month on the spread, and we get paid on the back end for all the principal pay down and the markup on the house. So think of it in the realtor days, right? Me and you, we hustle. We did 100+ homes. Yeah. And then January came. I don't know about you, but I'd be like, oh man, I got to do this again. So I set these up. I got paydays staggered for years to come right now, years to come, that if I stopped. So that's quite a different income model.
That's the residual effect.
Yeah.
Right? So there are always 2 ways to make money: trade time for dollars, right? Yep. Hours for dollars, or residual.
You bet.
And, boy, that's an interesting model you put in place there. So, so what you're saying is you're really you're controlling that real estate, but you're not owning it. So that's not yours. You're still, you're putting a tenant buyer in those properties you're buying. You're
We're
not
doing it. Yeah, we're doing it. No matter if we tie it up as a lease purchase, it's a sandwich, except for Texas, you can't, but all the other states you can. So we're just controlling it and we're clouding title. So we're on title. In the other two, the subject to existing financing, the owner financing, we are owning, we're taking title.
Okay, interesting. So which side do you like better? Do you like to own it yourself or do you like to have the tenant buy
This is
it?
good. Yeah. When you're okay, I'm going to give two answers as always. The first answer is when you're brand new, you will like lease purchase better. Why? Our agreements are built in with a $10 deposit. You're in Chicago, right?
I am.
Okay. So there's a gentleman in Chicago who's on his like 13th deal. He came from the elevator sales business, no experience. Okay. 2 years ago. He did his first 12 or 14, whatever the numbers, deals with a lease purchase with a $10 deposit. It's built into our agreement. And you don't take title. So it's simple. But now I like where I can take ownership. And guess what he's doing now, right in your area? He's going, yeah, I kind of like having the ownership because you don't have that different. It's a different communication with the seller. They're not still on title. You get to depreciate it. There's all kinds of, they're longer term. It's all kinds of advantages. So I like owning now. But when you're new, you're going to like the lease purchase better.
Yeah, right. Hey, there was a guy I knew years ago because I went to Keller Williams for a while. And there was a guy in Arizona that I knew who made a fortune doing lease option or buying property and selling it to. But his model wasn't like yours. Your model was very interesting. So,
yeah, we actually trademarked the 3 paydays federally. So it's a cool system. We've been cranking it out now for almost 10 years, and I finally got it trademarked a few years ago.
Nice, good for you. So, so obviously you have to use some kind of technology in the midst of some of this. What are your 3 favorite technology platforms?
Well, you're talking to a non-tech person. I'm going to tell you what the team did because my son and son-in-law came in. They're in their 30s and they fixed that.
Spoken like a true fairy.
Yeah, I can't reach my cell phone, but I would hold it up. That's my technology. But they put in the CRM. We use Freedom Soft, but it's our private system so that all our agreements, all our funnels, all our text, emails, all documents, they're all in there. But that's our CRM. And then we have things like PropStream for lead gen. My Plus Leads would be the third. That's lead gen. So they feed us every day those lead sources I told you about.
Okay. So those lead sources being expired and fizzed out.
Yep. Okay. Free and clear. There's even a COVID list now, Mike, believe it or not. Imagine that already. There's a COVID stress list already you can buy.
So what does that mean? I mean,
I honestly don't know. They must have farmed in mind for people that were in forbearances or other, but we just started it. And I don't honestly have the results yet, but I can't imagine there not being leads in there. People are hurting right now with these stupid forbearance things that we're doing.
Yeah. So I was just going to go there with a question around this. You and I have been around a few cycles over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Including 2008.
Yep.
What do you see? Where do you see the market going right now? Where do you see the world going right now?
Yep. If anyone says definitively they know, they're telling the truth, but they're lying because they don't know. And like nobody knows, right? You and I wouldn't be here. We'd be in the Bahamas sipping on something. Right. So, but my thought is that you need to, so real estate's long-term. You and I have been at it 30 years. People who say, well, I got to time it and I got to get in low. No, get off the sidelines, especially now. Cause I think where I see it going to answer your question is, are interest rates coming up? Yeah, pretty inevitable. You don't have to predict that. They're telling you they're gonna come up. Our forbearance agreements coming to an end, and some already came to an end, and people really hurting. Like they're calling us now out of the wood, like coming out of everywhere. Yes, that's happening. So those things I see, that's not a prediction. Like that's happening. And the third thing is, will the market change? Yeah, it's going to change for the next several decades for you and I, just like it did the last 3. So what do you do about that? People say, should I wait? No. You should come into the market now when you can help the most buyers and sellers. And you do so by using those criteria that I said that I outlined after the crash of 08 so that you can thrive right now. This is the best time. I can't wait. My wife says every time is a change. How's this going to affect you? And every time I say, I'm psyched because I can help a lot more buyers and sellers now.
Yeah, absolutely. Good answer. You find it stressful at all? And kind of a two-sided question. Do you find any of it stressful at all? And how do you deal with the stress in your life?
Yeah, I don't since maybe it's my age, maybe it's because I went through 08, but my wife and I now just get rid of stress. And if that's a person or an issue or a property, I just don't deal with. I don't go there. And here's why. I just had too much of that during '08.
Yeah.
And so I will tell you, Mike, and you could appreciate this. I know when I put my head on the pillow at night and I look at our portfolio and it's 30, 50, 60, it's got as high as 60 properties. And I know I'm not signed on any loans personally. That's a different feeling with the market changes than it is thinking in '08, I'm on 23 properties and 21 of the banks came knocking during the crash. I ain't going there again. It's just not going to happen. So no, there's not stress related to that. Now, does stress come up? Sure. If we goofed on our communication or set the wrong expectations in our communication with the seller, might there be some headaches because you miscommunicated? Our fault. Yeah. So we try to communicate as much as we can, open and clear. We're from New England. One of our values as a company is clear communication, no gray area. But sometimes we goof, right? We're human. But that's the only time stress gets created, when there's poor communication, in my opinion. Everything else should be pre-managed and kind of like preset. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Good answer. Good answer. So you know what I like about your model too is you're not out raising capital, or you're not raising equity, and you're not going down that path. You're actually going right to the asset, which is cool.
We are. On occasion, Mike, there'll be a deal whereby someone says, I should have said this earlier. Someone says, one of our students, hey, Chris, I had this killer deal. It was like $100,000 equity. The lady needed $5,000 or $10,000 to get out of arrears, and they'll pass on it. So our partner I mentioned, Peter Taunton, he and I and my son-in-law, Zach, started Wicked Smart Finance. So anyone that comes and says, I get this killer deal, but I don't even have $10,000, like I can't do it, we finance it now, and we split 50-50 with the partner after that's paid back. So we have opened the gap a little bit to say, whoa, don't throw the really, really good deals away that can be had if you can buy this much equity for this much. Let's do that deal. So we do have that option now, but no, we built this and continue to thrive on it without doing that.
So that's interesting. Don't most of your owners want some kind of money when you're taking over control of a property?
Well, they all want it. they all start with that. Of course they do. But so I tell them, look, we got a seesaw here, right? I can't give you everything and take nothing. So what's more important, that down payment you just said, or the price, or the term? Because I can't give you all three, or we should just stop the conversation. Literally, that's what I would say to a seller. Well, the down payment's not as important. The price is awesome. So I'll give you a price if you can give me my term. Sometimes I go premium, because if I'm getting principal only payments, do I really care if I'm paying a little higher? If over 10 years I crush that premium, doesn't matter. So they all want it. It's just, you got to know how to deal with that and solve problems. That's all.
Great. And this goes back to knowing your scripts. I mean, you said that stuff just like that, right? It's like natural. Like, when do you plan on moving? How long have you lived there?
Yeah.
I bet you remember
hundreds
that,
of those, right? Mike, per day.
Hey,
not now, knock on wood, but once upon a time.
Yeah, it's funny. Some things are like riding a bike, aren't they?
Yep.
Hey, so I want to circle back. You said 17 buyer profiles or seller profiles that come across. You'll start to be able to do deals. How many calls on the VA's part does it take to get them to that 17?
I can tell you rough numbers. We have the students submit weekly reports. So this is pretty cool. Kind of like, I'm sure, where Mike Ferry was years ago. He gets to see what the heck's going on in the community. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you that out of their dials, they reach live about 30% of those typically. And out of that 30%, about 30% would be someone that says, not, I'll sell to you tomorrow, but yeah, I'll hear more. Or we know the motivation is such that, oh, okay, the clock's kind of ticking. This person's going to need us in a while. If they can't sell, if they sell, good for them. So like 30% reached, and then about 30% of those leads.
Yeah. Interesting. So you don't only do deals though with that are paid are 100%, are they? Or with no financing on them, do you?
No, because some of them, like a lease purchase, would lend itself to someone who has, let's just give a quick scenario. Say you have a house for sale for 300. You and I agree. It's worth about 300. You owe 250. You're not in trouble, but you couldn't sell it conventionally. And if you did, you don't want to pay a realtor. So you say, I got 50 grand. I'm trying to just get 50 grand out. And I can't do that if I sell with a realtor. I say, okay, Mike, we'll structure a lease purchase. We'll pay the underlying debt once we install our buyer, and we'll guarantee you your 50 grand at the back end of this thing, and we'll pay off your mortgage. Well, at the back end, the mortgage is not 250 anymore, right? It's like whatever it is, 220. So I give you your 50. I captured all of the monthly spread, all the time we were doing that. I captured all the principal pay down, and up front, I got skin in the game for my buyer. You're happy. You got your 50. I'm happy. So it's like a three-way win-win, super healthy transaction.
Yeah. Very cool. And you said a great word there, Chris. It's win-win.
Yeah, it has to be.
And I know I can tell by talking to you that if you can't put a deal together that's win-win, you're not doing it.
No, it's about helping. Honestly, like our community, you poll them. We attracted, I guess, right? That's what you attracted. That's what you do. So we attract people that like families. We're a family company. We attract people that are super into integrity, morality, and helping the families. I just did another video for the video I just told you we post on YouTube. And the student said, like, this was just in our studio today. He said it was really cool, Chris, because this woman was stuck and I was able to help her, and she will forever remember that and tell her generation, like generations will learn that. That's pretty neat. That was his win on it. Yes, he made a whole bunch of money. He made like 75 grand, but he brought up not that, but that he helped the woman.
Yeah. And I watched a couple of those things that you sent over in that email. And it was funny because I normally don't do that. Right. But I'm glad you did. Let me check this out. So, and I think it was just because I knew that there was going to be a connection. So I'm seriously looking, at your program a little bit more. I think that you have a lot of value, and I would encourage anybody who's listening to this show today to go to your YouTube channel, to take a look at some of
I appreciate that.
Explore what you're doing, because really it's a model that has a little tweak in it. And I think one of the things that I've learned over time is that if you take something and even just tweak it a little bit from a traditional model, that you can make money. And I think I see you've done a little bit of that.
Love it.
Hey, anything else you want to share or talk about?
I just jotted down when you're talking. We do, I don't know if our team told you, but I would love to give, and I'm probably open a can of worms here, but they gave me a link. I'll give your listeners our best-selling book on your terms, real estate on your terms. And this is not Mike, put a credit card in, you just got to pay for shipping. Like, we pay for shipping, we pay for everything. It's $0. Hard copy, hardcover best-selling book instead of going to Amazon. If you want, I can give you that link and you can stick it in the show notes. You want me to give it to you?
Yeah, you tell everybody right now, and then we'll have Diana put it in the show notes.
Cool. It's wickedsmartbooks.com, wickedsmartbooks.com/insider secrets. They use that similar name, Insider Secrets.
Well, we kind of use that name together, huh?
Yeah, and see, it just comes up.
That's pretty funny. Hey, let me shift gears a little bit. 3 bonus round questions.
Sure.
So, tell me the best tourist attraction you've ever seen.
Right away, my mind goes to Italy. We were there during 9/11. We were there for 2 days and 9/11 hit. And I can't single out one thing. I'll just tell you, it was amazing to be in. We were on an island called Lido, and every day we taxied by water to Venice. And I think Venice was so cool as a whole.
Awesome. Very cool. And you'd go back?
Definitely. We were there worried about getting home to our kids way back then. It was 9/11. It was crazy.
Man, nuts. Favorite restaurant?
I got many. We live in Newport, Rhode Island. Are you kidding me? There's like 50, but right down the street, because it's right up my window, is a restaurant called Ida's. It's Italian. It's local, fresh, organic, and the owner's awesome. So those 3 things make me go back.
Nice. Best book you've ever read?
Books will be dependent upon the stage I'm in mentally, personally, and in business. So my favorite will be different every trimester, let's say. Okay. The most recent book I read that I think was phenomenal was Michael Dell's new book. I'm sorry, I don't have the title off the top of mind, but I think it's very recent. And I loved it from every sense, from a business building sense, from how to deal with scaling businesses to personal. Michael Dell's newest book. Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. Well, Chris, how do people get a hold of you if they want to talk with you and check a little bit more about your coaching program and what you're doing? Yeah, so definitely grab the free package. We pack it in. I told you a book, but we give you some other little goodies hint. So go to wickedsmartbooks.com/insider secrets. If you want to chat with us, I mean, my son-in-law and I, Zach, and I do what we call a strategy call. You literally can get a free call with us. And it's not about selling you something. I want to know seriously, like, where you are now in your life, where you want to go, and see if we can bridge the gap. If we can, I'll tell you.
If we can't, I'll tell you, and I'll hopefully point you to someone that can. And that's just at smartrealestatecoach.com/action.
Very cool. Love the name of your company, Wicked Smart.
Thank you. Thank
Obviously,
you.
you are wicked smart. So I appreciate that and appreciate everything that you had to contribute today. Thank you. And
Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to have you on my show.
yeah, looking forward to be able to give back. So, hey, Chris, thanks for being here. Everybody, thanks for being here this week. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. We're here every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. Look forward to you listening in on this and seeing exactly what you learned. So